We're joined by Mr. Sanjay Tapuria. He's CFO at Simbhali Sugar Mills. He's joining us on the phone line from Ahmedabad. Mr. Tapuria, thank you so much for joining us on NDTV Profit. Now, the latest development we heard was that Mawana Sugar has said, yes, we've defaulted on our loans. We cannot pay back the loans because the sugar price we get just doesn't cover our cost. What happens from here on? We've also heard about a ruling in the Supreme Court where the Supreme Court has upheld that whenever sugar stocks are sold and money is raised, first the farmers must be paid. What happens to the industry now?
It's a very, very critical phase for the industry because industry has always been recognizing in the past that the payment of the farmers' dues are paramount and they are important for operating the industry on a consistent basis and also on a regular basis. However, the position has emerged because last 4 years we have been seeing that the cane prices have been higher compared to the sugar price or the market price of the sugar on which it has been sold. So each year has been putting a drain on the liquidity of the company and so is on its profitability as well. So this situation was to come, which we call it an economical cycle of the sugar industry, and it needs to be handled. How it can be handled is that, of course, that the farmers' money has to be paid, and interventions are required from the state side, from the central government side, etc., so that the short-term as well as the long-term measures could be taken. Otherwise, this problem, who is the ultimate owner of the sugar, whether it's the farmer or it's the lender who has financed it, whether the sugar mill has a beneficial interest, to what extent that is having, etc., that controversy will remain. This controversy is not going to do good for anyone because it's not only the payment of the cane price, regular running of the sugar mill also for future is also very, very important in the state of Uttar Pradesh.
But Mr. Tapuria, the Supreme Court has held that you must pay the farmers back first. So if banks are saying we are looking at a mountain of NPAs, that's going to become a reality. Now that if that becomes a reality, what happens to the industry? You in any case are not producing in Uttar Pradesh. You say it's not even viable for me to produce. You have a mountain of debt to repay. And the banks will then move against you to recover the NPAs. What happens then?
No, the situation is certainly a very pathetic. That's what I'm saying. Is that the banks have lent the money to the sugar mill. Banks have lent the money against the sugar stocks to the sugar mill. And definitely their money is to be paid because they are not part of the sugar mill's operational cycle. This is the sugar mill's issue that the farmers to be paid or the sugar prices, etc., to be higher or not. How it's to be resolved and how it's to be worked out, that's a subject which not only the sugar mill can decide, it has to be a joint issue between the sugar company, the state government and the central government, so that the bankers' interest also be protected, farmers be also paid, and the sufficient liquidity be infused in the short term to the sugar mills so that both the requirements can be met out. In the long term, yes, bankers will be looking for additional security. Bankers will be looking for an alternative arrangement, etc., for financing to the sugar mills, etc. But we can't imagine a situation that the bank money is not available, and in that situation, how we'll be meeting the payment to the farmers. We produce for 6 months. We sell it for 12 months. So definitely somebody has to finance the produce. Then only it can be met, and then only the raw material cost can be paid off. So this anomaly is going to come and is required to be addressed.
But Mr. Tapuria, the government has clearly said that till the state of UP, the mills in UP, give some kind of an assurance as to when they will be paying back the cane arrears. Till that time, there's not going to be something big that you can expect from the government. In fact, all the reform measures that they had announced, including increasing the import duty as well, they will not be applicable till some kind of an assurance comes. Last week, we had Mr. Avinash Verma from ISMA with us here on the show, and he said in a month's time, the mills should be able to pay 95% of the arrears, but the situation on the ground doesn't look like that.
If you look at the payment table of the UP industry, definitely you will be seeing it that the considerable part of the arrears have been paid, which was 7,500 crore rupees. They brought down to 5,300 crore rupees, and now they are less than 3,000 crore rupees. So the major amount of the arrears are being paid to the farmers. However, when we know that there is a problem in the system i.e. the money available with the sugar mills, are not sufficient to make a payment to the farmers, in that situation, the timeline of making a payment is very, very difficult to affirm. However, mills have committed to the central, to the state, to the court, that immediately after the start of the season, if we can't pay from out of this season's money, we'll have to pay from the next season's money. The mills will pay to the farmers, and in next 2 months or 3 months, all payments, etc., will be made. However, I mean, it's a chicken and egg situation which we are talking about it. But what happens first? But whether the mill is able to pay in month time or 2 months time, the basic structural correction on the short term or also long term has to take place. Not only to combat this situation, but also such situation should not arise in future. I mean, mills are committed to pay because we already taken the cane from the farmers, and we'll be making a payment to the farmers late because this year's money is not sufficient to make the payment to the farmer against the this year's sugar.
How much is due from your company?
Pardon?
I'm trying to understand how much of the arrears is due from your company's side.
At present, we got to pay something about 200 crore rupees to the farmers.
All right, and we're also hearing that, farmers have now entered into distress sale of cane to jaggery units, and currently mills have suspended operations. How soon do you think you will be able to commence the operations back? Because eventually that'll impact the next crushing season as well.
The sale of the sugarcane for jaggery in the state of Uttar Pradesh is not a this year's subject. This has always been happening all along. And the jaggery people have been buying the sugar cane on a different economics than on the sugar mill. So I'll not take it as a distress sale or something. It's a business as usual, which has been happening in the past, and that will continue to happen in future as well. That's a different market. There are the different type of farmers who are selling that sugar, and they are producing a different product which is having a different economics as a matter of fact. So to me, is this situation of selling the sugarcane to the jaggery is not that a critical and very alarming situation, because that has been happening in future as well. However, the decision to start the next season is dependent upon number of factors. The association or the collective body of the sugar mills, in Sugar Mills Association, has put up their point of view before the state government, etc. also, that the basic and structural issues have to be discussed and found out. And to me is that at present they are the key. However, I'm seeing it no reason that why the mills will not start, but when they will start and how the resolution etc. take place, that's the effort which is undergoing at present. It's on way.
Right. Mr. Tapriya, do you expect any immediate action from lenders to the sugar industry? Anything from your lenders?
No, I'm not seeing it immediate because it's the basic industry. Important is that the industry is operationally capable. We have the raw material available. We have the demand of the sugar, or demand of the product is available. We have a machinery which is capable to produce. So it's only a mismatch between the price of the raw material, etc. So always these things are always being taken as a short-term measures,
Mr. Tapriya, very quickly, how much outstanding debt do you have? How much do you owe to the banks?
No, that's difficult for me because the half yearly is over and we got to declare it very soon to the public. So off the cuff remark, it's wrong for me to give it to select media, etc. So, but definitely we have outstanding amounts to the banks.
All right, Mr. Tapriya, thank you so much for joining us on NDTV Profit.